Chapter 12. The Reunion. December 24th, 6:01 p.m., 148 Festive Lane. "Dad!" David screamed as he ran into the house and Michael's arms. David, we were so worried about you," Michael replied ecstatically as he knelt on one knee and hugged David tightly. "Where have you been? My God, you're soaking wet. Is it snowing that hard out there?" Before David could answer Michael, Arianna burst into the room. "David, oh, thank God you're all right," she exclaimed as she wrapped her hands around his head and kissed him over and over again. Jack and Wanda entered the room, smiling and relieved that David was safe. "Did the police bring you home, David?" asked Jack. "No, Martha did," answered David. "Oh, David, stop joking around. How did you get home?" Arianna asked sternly. Michael interrupted. "No, he's not joking. Martha did bring him home. She is standing out on the front step." As Arianna, Jack, and Wanda walked past David and Michael, still holding each other, they looked out the front door, which was still open. Michael looked at David and said, "Get upstairs, dry off, and change into some fresh clothes before you catch your death." "Okay, Dad," David said, and ran up the stairs. Arianna turned back from the front door, looked at Michael, and then back out the door again. She then turned to Jack and Wanda. They were as puzzled as Arianna. "Michael, honey, did you say Martha was standing out there?" asked Arianna. Michael stood up and walked toward the door as he looked out. "She was just here a second ago. I swear I am not losing my mind. She was there. She spoke to me. She said, 'Michael, I think I have someone that belongs to this house.'" "Then what happened?" asked Jack. "Then David ran into my arms and you guys came in," he replied, "and now she's gone." Arianna walked up to Michael and placed her hand on his forehead. "Honey, maybe you better lay down for a while. I think the lack of sleep and all the stress has gotten to you. Are you sure it wasn't a policewoman?" Michael took her hand and moved it away from his forehead. "I know what I saw and what I heard. I am telling you, David is telling the truth. Martha did bring him home." "Where is David?" "I sent him upstairs to change his clothes," replied Michael as he stared out the front door one last time. "Well, now that David is home safe and sound, I think we have a date with an airplane. We have already paid the rent on the house down in Florida, and as long as everything is okay here, I think we'd better try to catch a later flight," said Jack. "Jack, Wanda, thanks for all of your help. I don't know what we would have done without your support and friendship," Michael replied. Jack and Wanda put on their winter coats and opened the front door. "Merry Christmas, Carters," they yelled as they walked out onto the front step. "Merry Christmas, Stevens, and have a safe and happy trip," Arianna and Michael yelled back. "Hey, Mike, turn on your decorations. It's pretty dark out here, and I don't want Martha getting lost in the woods across the street," Jack said as he laughed. "Hilarious, Stevens," Michael responded, and then laughed as well. Michael shut the door and walked into the living room to flip on the light switch that controlled all of the decorations outside. Arianna walked back into the kitchen. As Michael flipped the switch, he saw the lights go on. He turned on the mechanical figurines in the living room, looking out at the glass-enclosed Santa's workshop display sitting on the front lawn. As he walked out of the living room, the doorbell rang again. "I'll get it. Jack probably forgot something. Either that or he wants to tease me more about seeing ghosts," Michael shouted out. Michael opened the door and looked through the fogged-up glass of the storm door. He saw what appeared to be two people but couldn't make out their faces. He opened the storm door and peeked out. "Jack, Wanda, did you forget something?" he asked. "Merry Christmas, Michael," the people standing out on the step shouted. "Well, Merry Christmas to you too. Can I help you?" Michael asked. The two people on the step didn't say a word. They just stood there and stared at Michael, as Michael stared back at them. They were both formally well-dressed, as if they were going out to a fancy gala. The man was in his late 50s, and the woman was in her 40s. He then focused on their faces. He started to say, I'm sorry, but do I know—" He stopped. He looked at the woman's face, and suddenly the identity of these strangers hit him like a ton of bricks. "Wait, right there. Don't move. Don't go anywhere, okay? Okay." He shut the door and ran into the living room. He removed a picture from the wall and looked at it carefully. It was a picture of Arianna's parents. "Holy shit," Michael exclaimed. "Holy shit, I am losing my mind. Yep, I have lost it," he said aloud. Arianna came into the room. "Michael, who was at the—" She stopped as she saw Michael shaking while staring at the picture. "Michael, are you okay?" "Oh, my God," he said over and over. "Arianna, you will think that I have lost my mind." "What? Is Martha back at the door with the dog we lost 7 years ago?" she asked jokingly. Michael set the picture down on the coffee table and turned to Arianna. "Come with me." He led her by the arm out of the living room and to the foyer. Arianna just stared at him as he quickened the pace to a brisk walk. Arriving at the closed front door, Michael stopped sharply. "Open the door. Go ahead. Open it." "Oh, for God's sake, Michael." Arianna opened the front door and looked out. "Do you see anyone there?" asked Michael. "No, I don't see anyone, Michael. But who could see anything through this fogged-up pane of glass?" Michael put his hands over his face and started muttering in disbelief. "I'm not afraid of spooks. I'm not afraid of spooks." She pulled the sleeve from her sweatshirt over her hand and wiped the fog from the glass. As she rubbed the glass clear, she looked at Michael. "Honey, you know you have got to get some rest. I think you've been working far too—" "Holy shit!" Arianna screamed as she looked through the now clear glass of the storm door and saw her parents for the first time in 15 years. She jumped back and into Michael's arms. "Yes!" shouted Michael as he made a fist and raised his arm into the air to signify victory. Arianna started to tremble and was unable to speak. Michael held her tight as he inched his way to the storm door. He opened the door. "Merry Christmas, Arianna!" the people shouted. As Michael held open the door, the man and woman from outside entered the house. Michael and Arianna backed up several feet as they continued to stare in total amazement. "I don't believe I have ever had the pleasure. I'm Michael Carter," Michael said as he extended his hand. "A pleasure to meet you, Michael. I'm Arthur Campbell, and this is my wife, Marie. We're Arianna's parents." Michael looked at his hand, touching Arthur's. "They're real?" Arianna's eyes rolled back in her head as she passed out cold in Michael's arms and went limp. Michael struggled to hold her up. "I think the shock of seeing you again was a bit overwhelming. Please come in and make yourselves at home," Michael said as he tried to hold Arianna upright. "Oh, my, didn't Martha come by yet to let you know that we were coming?" asked Marie. "Martha? Did you say Martha?" asked Michael. "Why, yes. She was supposed to have been here at exactly 6 p.m. to let you know what was going on tonight," answered Marie. "Oh, my Art, we seem to have made a mess of things now." "Ah, so Martha was here. I'm not losing my mind after all." "No, I'm just standing here holding up my comatose wife and talking to her dead parents," Michael shouted. Michael dragged Arianna into the family room and placed her on his lap as he sat on the couch. He started to slap her face lightly. "Arianna, Arianna, please wake up. Please don't leave me here alone with your folks. You gotta wake up, honey. Arianna." The doorbell rang. "You want me to get that, Michael?" Arthur asked. Michael replied, "Sure, why not? And if it's Martha, tell her to get her butt in here right now." Michael continued to try to revive Arianna for a minute. "Please, honey, come on now. This is rude. We have company," he said. "Here, Michael, let's try this cold compress," a woman said. Michael took the woman's cold compress and looked up at her quickly to notice a man standing beside her. "Thanks, Mom. Hi, Dad. Merry Christmas. Arianna passed out when she saw—" "Holy shit!" Michael jumped up, and Arianna fell off his lap and onto the floor with a thud. Mom, Dad, Michael shouted. He backed up and started to look around in a frantic frenzy. What in the world is going on here? Behind him, a young man said, I don't know, Mike, but man, it sure is far out, isn't it? Michael turned to see his brother Billy. Oh, my God. Hey, Mike, relax. It's cool. We're as freaked out about this as you are. For the last 10 years, we've been spending Christmas, well, up there. Suddenly today we get back the threads we were buried in and these trays of munchies, and bingo! We're standing here talking to you like we're alive again. This is a real trip, man, Billy said. Michael, could you come here and hug your old man? It's been a while, asked Michael's father. Michael was utterly bewildered. Arianna was still on the floor, passed out. Michael had no idea what was happening to him. He figured it was some kind of weird dream. Maybe he was still sleeping on the couch with Jack. Perhaps David never came home. Perhaps he had indeed lost his mind. Michael's dad walked toward him and opened his arms. Michael reluctantly walked toward his father and embraced him carefully and cautiously at first. Then he felt the love from his father's embrace and hugged his dad as tight as possible. Oh, I don't know what is happening here, but I like it, said Michael as he continued to hug his father. Just then, Arianna regained consciousness and sat up slowly. Michael was now hugging his mother tightly as he kissed her cheek. Billy patted Michael on the back as his father stood close as well. Arianna looked up and focused on the four of them. Michael turned to see that she was awake and said, Arianna, look, my mom, Dad, and Billy came over for Christmas. Merry Christmas, Arianna, the three of them shouted. Arianna's eyes rolled to the back of her head again, and as she began to slump forward, they softly heard her say, Holy shit. Michael was like a kid in a candy store as the evening continued. His whole attitude was so different from just a few hours ago when he was so concerned about David's whereabouts. As the doorbell rang and rang, Michael happily yelled out, I'll get it. He ran to the door each time, not knowing who would appear next. Guest after guest arrived at the house, bringing trays and platters of goodies. Cakes and cookies were quickly filling up every table in the room. Some of the guests were Arianna's family, thus Michael didn't know who they were. He seldom had the opportunity to meet many of her relatives. Most of her family had already passed away before he and Arianna ever met. The doorbell rang again. I've got it, yelled Michael. Merry Christmas, Michael, shouted two more people as Michael opened the door. Michael stopped and looked into their faces. As he recognized the two individuals at the front door, he started to break down. The two guests standing on the front step were Brian and Jennifer, the best man and maid of honor at Michael and Arianna's wedding, who died in a house fire just last year. Brian, Jen, oh my God, I'm happy to see you both, said Michael, as they entered the room and hugged. Michael, hiya, handsome, Jen said as she kissed him softly. Hey, look, I got my old body back. What do you think? You both look fantastic, said Michael. Michael, hey, buddy, I missed you, said Brian. They hugged and patted each other on the back several times. Come on in and make yourself at home, you two. I don't know why you are here, but I am so happy that you are. Arianna will be so excited to see the both of you again. Meanwhile, back in the living room, Arianna was finally waking up, but remained sitting on the floor in a state of confusion. Are you feeling a little better now, honey? Asked her mother. Yeah, I guess so, Mom. Mom, are you really here? Yes, honey, we both are here, and so are Uncle Roy, Aunt Laura, and Cousin Edward, replied her mother. Mom, this is so weird, you have no idea, Arianna said. Honey, we don't know what's going on here either. All of a sudden, we were at your front door. We knew it was your front door because Martha described the house to a T. Over and above that, we have no idea why we are here either. But we sure are glad to be with you again, she said as she smiled. Michael entered the living room and noticed that Arianna was awake. He walked over to her and sat on the couch behind her. Arianna, this is unbelievable. It's great. I mean, it's bizarre, but it's also really great, said Michael as he continued in a fit of excitement. David is talking and joking with our parents, calling them Grandpa and Grandma. Your dad is holding Nicole so tenderly. Everyone is laughing and drinking. Oh, you should see all the food they brought with them. There must be 1,000 cookies in the dining room. Brian and Jen just arrived, and they look great. Arianna responded, Brian and Jen? Grandma and Grandpa? Michael, what is happening here? How did these people, who in some cases have been dead for many years, come back to life? How long are they here? Is this forever or just until I wake up from this goofy dream? Honey, I don't know. But if this is a dream, we are both having it simultaneously. I don't know how long they can stay with us, but I do know that Martha is behind all of this. Does it matter, though? We have been given a gift to share our lives with loved ones we thought we would never see again. Why are we wasting time analyzing it? Get out there and make up for lost time. Give your dad a big hug. It will make you feel a whole lot better. Maybe you're right, Michael. I think I will get up and mingle for a while. Just stay close to me if I pass out again, okay? You'll be fine, hon. Just let it happen naturally. Arianna stood up and cautiously proceeded through the house. As she walked, she was in awe of all the people there. She saw cousins, uncles, aunts, great-grandparents, and friends deceased for years, laughing and joking as if it was yesterday. They waved to her and hugged her as she passed by them. She found her father in the dining room, sitting at the table and holding Nicole. She hugged him around his neck and said, So, do you like your granddaughter, Daddy? As he stood, he handed Nicole off to Michael's mother, standing nearby. She is almost as beautiful as you were when you were a baby, Arianna, he said as he embraced his daughter. Arianna felt the same response that Michael felt when he hugged his father, a feeling of overwhelming love. A smile came to her face and she started to laugh. I can't believe you're all here. Can I get anyone some coffee, a soft drink, or a double scotch? She asked. The whole room started to laugh, and Michael's brother Billy turned on the stereo. He tuned in the radio and found a station playing non-stop Christmas songs for the next 24 hours. He turned up the volume as Silver Bells by Johnny Mathis sounded from the speakers. The old house that was now renovated and looked brand new was filled with over 70 people somehow connected to Arianna and Michael. None of them had ever been to this home on Festive Lane before, and thus, like the house, they too were new and rejuvenated. People were dancing in the family room, talking in the kitchen, playing cards in the living room, and eating in the dining area. Arianna and Michael quickly lost their apprehension about the presence of their unexpected guests. They were living in the moment, for they knew not when it could all suddenly disappear forever. Arianna prepared beverages for their guests and set up a punch bowl in the kitchen. As she mixed fruit juices and sodas into the bowl, David approached her gingerly. Mom? He asked. Yes, honey. Are you still mad at me for getting lost? Arianna stopped mixing the bright red punch, held David by the shoulders, and pulled him toward her. David, I was so worried about you. I'm not mad at you. I'm mad at myself for leaving you alone. I should have stayed by your side. I am not a very good mother. It's not your fault, Mom. I'm the one that got lost. I'm sorry for making you worry so much. David, if we didn't worry about the ones we loved, there's no reason to love. Now, we are not finished talking about this. I want to hear all about what happened to you and how you got lost. We will talk about this later when it is a little less hectic around here. Okay, this is a kind of cool thing, isn't it? All these people that I have never met are here, and they are all nice to me. I really like Grandpa Tony and Grandma Dorothy. Are they your mom and dad, or are they dad's? They are your father's parents. Don't you like my parents, David? Oh, yes, Grandpa Arthur can make strange noises with his mouth. He's funny. Arianna laughed. Yes, Daddy could always make that a noise with his mouth. David ran off to talk with the house guests when he suddenly heard his guitar being played upstairs in his room. He looked up and seemed puzzled. Michael walked down from the upstairs. That's your Uncle Billy. He is the real musician in the family. Boy, he can still play that guitar like it's part of him. Why don't you go up and check it out, David? He might teach you a few licks. David's face displayed a broad smile as he ran through the dining room and up the stairs in a flash. As Michael walked into the foyer's dining room, he sat at the table with his parents, Arianna's parents, grandfather Albert, and his Uncle Wally. David wants to be a rock star when he grows up, Michael stated. Grandpa Albert, who was in his 90s and had pure white hair and a bit of a beer belly, said, "Well, I think he would make a great musician. He has the hands for piano, though, not the guitar." "Piano? Oh, no way. He is going to beat those skins until he is rocking this paradise," Uncle Wally replied. Uncle Wally was a robust man in his early 60s. He was dressed in the dark blue three-piece suit in which he was buried. His hefty face was round and cheery as his smoke-stained teeth protruded over his bottom lip. "So, Uncle Wally, how are you? I haven't seen you since—" "Since my funeral, Michael?" asked Uncle Wally. "Yes, I guess that would have been the last time. That was a stupid thing to say, wasn't it? I'm sorry." "Hey, don't sweat it, Michael. I remember it like it was yesterday. I remember you coming up to my casket and being all scared. I wanted so much to sit up and wave my arms like crazy just to see you pee your pants." "I'm surprised you didn't. Arianna, Uncle Wally used to tease and scare us kids constantly. He would always pick on us." "Arianna, you want to see me take off my head?" "No, don't you dare." They all laughed. "He can't take his head off, Arianna, but you keep your eye on him. He just might pull your leg right off with his constant kidding," Michael's father said. As Arianna laughed, she took Nicole to her playpen for a nap. Michael started to ask some serious questions about the people sitting at the dining room table. "I don't mean to be nosy, but I have to ask a few questions. First of all, is there a heaven? What is it like?" asked Michael. For a moment there was silence. Michael's mother began to speak. "Well, Michael, we aren't sure if we are allowed to talk about that. No one said we couldn't, but no one said we could either. I sure wish Martha were here. She has the answers to all of these questions." "Okay, well, what about Martha? How is it you all came to know her? I assume there are billions of people— I mean souls? Are they souls? Do you have bodies in heaven? Do you fly around in clouds all day? How did you meet Martha out of all the billions there?" Michael asked. Michael's father laughed and said, "Slow down, son. All in good time." That's another thing. Time. How long are you here for?" "Well, I'm afraid we don't know the answer to that question any more than you do, Michael. Martha was supposed to let us know the schedule when she arrived, but obviously she's not here yet." "Well, I think I'm going to tell him about heaven. What the hell? Oops," said Uncle Wally. "Uncle Wally, where is your son James? He died many years before you passed away, yet he isn't here. Why is that?" Michael asked. Arianna rejoined the conversation and offered coffee to her guests. Brian and Jen joined the conversation as Arianna and Jen joked around like old times. Arianna poured fresh coffee into each cup sitting around the table. She listened to Uncle Wally explain. "Well, Michael, that has to do with heaven as well. You see, certain rules apply, one of which is a rule about taking a life. Many sins are forgiven, and you are allowed into heaven. But taking a life is not one of those sins that are easily overlooked." "James killed someone?" Michael asked. "He took a life, Michael. His own. Suicide is not well received in heaven. You aren't punished or sent to a place known down here on earth as hell, but you are not allowed certain privileges in heaven. You are not permitted to reunite with your family or loved ones for a very long time." It's sad, but those are the rules," said Uncle Wally. "Oh, my, that's terrible," said Arianna. "Doesn't God realize that someone who takes their own life does so due to pain and suffering, whether physical or mental?" "God understands all too well, Arianna," replied her mother. "No one that commits suicide is denied access to heaven. They just have fewer privileges. It's hard to explain." "What if a person intentionally takes someone else's life?" asked Michael. "Then that person will never enter heaven," said Brian. "Never?" asked Arianna. "Never," said Jen. "So what is heaven like for those allowed to enter?" Michael asked. "It's not what you think, Michael," said his father. "Do you remember the best times of your life?" "Sure." "What were some of those times, Michael?" asked his father. "Oh, I don't know. There are many. When Billy and I came home to find a new swimming pool in the backyard when I was 12. That was a great day. We swam for hours. Mom made sandwiches and lemonade. It was just a great day," he said, and then paused. "When I first kissed Arianna, that was a great day. The birth of David and Nicole, those are the best times for me," Michael replied. "That's what heaven feels like, Michael. There is no pain or suffering. Every moment seems like the best moment of your life. It's a feeling of love and happiness. The only sorrow we ever feel is that of separation from our loved ones still living. We miss you so much. We worry about you constantly. We can feel your pain and suffering when you feel it. But it's different. It's not like we are suffering ourselves. We take in your pain and sadness and consume it with our love. Then we send it back to you," his father said. "So, you know when I have problems, and you try to help me?" asked Michael. "All of the time, Michael. And the more friends and family you have in heaven, the more help is sent your way. We all send our love to you constantly. And when things are going well for you, we still send you our love. Those exceptional times you mentioned just don't happen by accident. They are the result of everyone up above, sending you a little piece of heaven all at once. There is still power in numbers, even in heaven," he said. "And what does this time here with us mean to you right now?" Michael asked. "Son, this is heaven on earth. The ability to touch you, to see you, and see your family and your home. The joy and love it brings to our hearts. This is what heaven is all about," his father replied. "If you have faith in yourself and faith in heaven, you will enjoy these feelings someday. You have to make peace with God, Michael," said Michael's mother, a lovely woman with light brown hair in her late 50s. "I know, Mom. I lost my faith after you all died. I gave up. I couldn't understand why God would do that to me. It just wasn't fair," Michael said. "Well, at the time it wasn't fair, but now we are here, and we are together. Is that fair?" she asked. "I don't know if it's fair or not, Mom. If I never see you again, am I better off for having this one opportunity, or will it make it hurt just that much more?" "Do you feel sad at this moment, Michael?" No. No, I don't. It's weird. I feel very content." "Then I think you should have faith that the feeling of contentment will last you the rest of your life. How many people get the chance to tell their departed loved ones the things they never got the opportunity to say? You have that chance now, Michael. Enjoy it," she said. "Okay. Then I would like to say two things right now. Dad, I love you. I don't think I ever told you that. I have always loved you. I just never said it. Mom, I love you too. You were and still are so special to me." "That alone is worth the trip, Michael," his father said as he hugged his son. The doorbell rang. Michael rose from the dining room table. He walked into the foyer and opened the door.
"Merry Christmas, Michael,"
said the visitor. "Well, if it isn't the ever-elusive and overly generous Martha Kennedy," said Michael as he opened the storm door. "Welcome home, Martha," he said as he hugged her tight.
"This isn't my house, Michael. This is a beautiful home full of life and happiness. I am so proud of you for fixing it up the way you have. The exterior of the house is truly magnificent."
"Thanks to you. Wait until you see the interior, Martha. We couldn't have done it without you," said Arianna as she joined Michael and Martha in the foyer. "Please come in. Everyone here has been waiting for you."
"I must apologize to everyone, but especially to Michael. When I was here before with David, I could not come inside due to one of the house rules, which I will explain in a moment. I am sorry for making you look foolish, Michael. I didn't know Jack and Wanda were here at the time," she said.
"What do Jack and Wanda have to do with anything?" Arianna asked.
"Let's gather everyone in the living room, and I will explain what is happening here and the rules that must be followed during this special visit."
Michael and Arianna gathered all the guests into the family room. The total count was 72 people, and even in this massive room, the crowd stood shoulder to shoulder. Martha asked Michael to help her up onto a coffee table to be seen and heard as the guests settled in. Once standing a foot above the crowd, Martha began.
"First of all, I would like to apologize for being so tardy. I had another function to attend to, and when I first arrived here at this house, neighbors of Michael and Arianna's were present, which leads us to the rules of the visit. I am sure all of you are very confused, so let me explain what is happening here. The reason you are all here is because of this magical house. This house has allowed spirits from the other side to rejoin their loved ones for over 100 years. My family visited me every year, just like this, until I recently passed away, and then I joined them. When I found out that I was going to die, I had to pass on the wonderment of this house to a family that would appreciate and utilize the magic that this house offers. Selling this house to a family that had no use for it or would tear it down was not an option. Michael and Arianna met the requirements to be owners of this house. Now, some of the rules are for Michael and Arianna, and others are for the guests. But you should all be aware of every rule so you know how to prepare and act while visiting. This is not a one-time visit. As long as this house stands on this foundation, you will have the opportunity to visit here 24 hours per earthly year. My family found that the most appropriate time for the visit was Christmas Eve at 6 p.m. until Christmas Day at 6 p.m. I think you will agree. No one living except family is allowed in the house during the visiting time. If someone enters the house that is not family by chance, all visiting guests will disappear immediately. Once you are here, you are in human form. You can drink, eat, smoke, and feel, just like you did when you were living. Keep this in mind. If you used to get sick from drinking too much beer, she looks over to Uncle Wally, when you were alive, you will get sick again. You are human for one whole day, so be very careful. Pain is very real once again. And yes, Wally, you are allowed to make love with a consenting partner. The crowd goes wild. But keep in mind that you are here to visit with the earthbound souls and their families. In other words, don't overdo it. You may not knowingly bring or take back anything that is not consumable. Consumables are food, drinks, tobacco, not televisions, cars, or ties. This is critical. If you ever bring, take back, or leave behind an object of mass and matter that cannot be consumed, you will never be allowed to return. Bringing animate objects between the real and spiritual world is dangerous and is not permitted. No exceptions. Knowingly is also a key word. If you place a handkerchief in your pocket and you forget you have it and then return, you will not be penalized. Thus, all gifts given must be consumable and not tangible. This is why trays of cookies and cakes were sent with you this first time. You must return with the empty plates you brought when you depart this house. Sharing information about what heaven is like is strictly forbidden. I know that some information has already been shared.
She looks over at Wally again.
But you didn't know that this was against the rules, so you are forgiven this one time. 24 hours is 24 hours. You must start your departure when the grandfather clock chimes 6 times. The order of leaving is the reverse of how you arrived. In other words, the immediate family is always the first to arrive and the last to go. The closer the family member, the more time they are allowed. But it is still approximately 24 hours, give or take a few minutes. Again, if this rule is broken, you will not be permitted to visit ever again. Guests are to stay in the confines of this house at all times, except during arrivals and departures. Michael's family that lives here year-round can come and go as they please, of course. There was another rule, but it doesn't apply here yet. And to be honest, I have forgotten precisely what it was. I guess that's it. Are there any questions? Asked Martha. Wally raised his hand. I would have never guessed. Yes, Wally?
Let's say I meet one of Arianna's aunts, and I think she is pretty. Well, you know, I can make love to her, right? Asked Wally.
That, my dear, will be up to her. The crowd laughed. Remember that this 24-hour period is no different than a 24-hour period when you were living. So, Wally, if that aunt slaps you, it will hurt. Thank you all for understanding the rules of this grand old house that looks more beautiful than I have ever seen it. I hope you will enjoy it as much as I have, and as much as I still do. Thank you all once again. Martha finished her speech to a round of applause. As Michael helped her down from the coffee table, he asked her, So, Martha, will you come and visit us every year as well? Do you consider me a dear friend, Michael? Oh, probably the dearest friend of all. Then I will see you for the rest of your life and beyond. Michael embraced her and whispered, And that, Miss Kennedy, makes me ecstatic. Christmas Eve, 11:55 p.m., 148 Festive Lane. As the party continued throughout the evening, guests mingled and talked for hours. The Carters and the Campbells spoke about their respective children and this opportunity of a lifetime that they had all been granted. The holiday music filled the house with sounds of merriment and Christmas. The assorted cookies and cakes were disappearing at a steady pace. A few couples found their way upstairs to the guest bedrooms. Once again, they could enjoy the physical intimacy that escaped them for many years. As Michael and Arianna began to tidy up the house a little, they talked. Well, we'll be hosting this party for many years to come, Arianna said. Yes, it sure looks that way, doesn't it? Do you think we will ever get used to this? Don't get me wrong, I think this is wonderful. Who else can see their entire family every Christmas, even if they are all deceased? Arianna laughed. Yes, this is something you just don't talk about down at work. You know, Jack and Wanda will be a real problem when next Christmas comes around. Hopefully they will go down to Florida again. But what if they don't? You better start thinking of excuses to tell Jack why they can't come over for Christmas dinner.
It will take you a year to make it sound realistic and believable. You are a terrible liar, Michael. You're right there. Jack is relentless when it comes to food. They both laughed as they continued to gather plates and glasses from the main living area and carried them into the kitchen. As they entered the kitchen, Michael's mother, Dorothy, washed dishes. Arianna's mother, Marie, was drying. "What are the two of you doing? You are our guests. Get away from that sink. Michael and I will take care of this mess." "Honey, we do our share. Some things never change. Was Michael going to help with the dishes?" "I'm impressed," Marie replied. When Michael was a boy, he would listen for the clink of the last clean glass to be stowed away. Then he would come into the kitchen and ask if I needed any help. He was sneaky back then," Michael's mother said. "He's still sneaky, and he still does that same little trick," Arianna said. As the dishes were washed and dried, Michael and Arianna began to yawn. It was long past midnight, and thus Christmas Day had arrived. Michael walked from the kitchen into the dining room. He spotted David fast asleep on Grandpa Tony's lap. Tony, as well, was sleeping soundly, as his head touched David's to form a triangle. Michael picked David up in his arms and carried him upstairs to his bedroom. Arianna was not far behind, as she followed Michael up the stairs with Nicole, cradled in her arms. The party downstairs was still going strong. The guests didn't want to waste this valuable and unforgettable time on something as silly as sleep. Although many were getting exhausted, they were determined to keep their eyes open for a few hours longer. Michael yelled down from upstairs, "Merry Christmas to all, and to all a good night." He joined Arianna in the main bedroom and collapsed on the bed. It was approximately 12:25 a.m., Christmas morning. Arianna kissed him lightly on the cheek. "Michael, this has been one very stressful day. David's disappearance, the surprise visits of our families. The shock of it all has completely exhausted me beyond my limits." "I know exactly how you feel. Let's get some shut-eye. Tomorrow is another day. Let's hope it's a bit less hectic." As Michael and Arianna dozed off to sleep, the party below was settling down to a whimper. Many guests staked their claim on sofas and love seats in the living room and family room areas. The fortunate ones managed to secure a vacant bedroom on the second floor. The house became more and more silent as the hours passed by. By 3:30 a.m., all but a few who decided to pull an all-nighter were sleeping soundly. Uncle Wally was one of the few that remained awake. He sat by himself in the dining room and recalled when he was alive and well every day, not just Christmas. He began to think of his son as tears gently caressed his cheeks. Even after death, he could still not share the joys of heaven with James. He wondered why it was a magical house could allow nearly 100 spiritual souls to visit an earthly couple on Christmas. Yet he could not see his son, who was not earthbound. He prayed that someday James would also be allowed to visit the house on Festive Lane.